What a glorious, beautiful day. You couldn't ask for anything better. I'm so excited. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at all the flowers. Hi, it is Robbie from Southern California, and let's do a zip around the garden. And I am excited to say today we're going to be 79 degrees. Can you believe it? We've been like 30 degrees less, and it's just too cold for us here, but this is fantastic. Here is my turmeric table, which I haven't gotten to, and I really need to. Now, I could leave it and it will all regrow. I could top dress it with some compost, even just wood chips and things from the bottom, on the ground here, leaves and different things. But if I do that, I'm going to end up losing out because some of these will be absolutely packed with turmeric. But see, nothing's growing yet. And the reason nothing is growing is because we have been in the 40s at night. Turmeric needs it at least, really, they want it 60. So we're not going to do anything today, but I hope in the next few days I'll be able to start getting to this. This is maybe a job that will take me an hour. That will be really easy. Look at all the weeds. Oh my goodness, weeds everywhere. You know what? I look at all these weeds, and though it may be a little bit of work, all I have to do is pick them and put them in a tote. And once I do that, this becomes my new soil. So it's a good thing. Plus, I'm going to leave some of them for nature and wildlife because it's sow thistle and it throws these beautiful yellow flowers. We talk about this all the time, which the bees and even the hummingbirds pick on. And also the bush tits come in to pick out little insects that end up around the leaves. But look at this. This is what the hummingbirds make their nesting material out of. They line the nest so the nest is soft for the eggs and the babies, and they love this. It's like cotton. Oh, by dropping it on the ground, more will grow. That's a pomegranate tree that came up in with my apples. And then, oh, look, the apples are starting to grow really nice. And then I've got my salvias coming back. Actually, that is sage. And my nectarine tree, I'm hoping they took because this was just loaded. It's still too little to see. Oh, yeah, there's one. Look at that. Yes, we've got the start of nectarines. This is fantastic. This tree was planted by seed in my garden, and we dug it up and moved it here a few years ago, and it has been just fantastic. I love it. From seed, no rootstock, nothing, no grafting or anything. So here's the chair garden, which is really untouched. I'm going to come through here again. It's probably would take me 2 days when I'm ready, and I'm going to get this planted. I still have things growing, and my problem is the cold nights. I heard some of you on the East Coast told me your nights are in the 60s. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful because here we've been in the 40s. I'll show you in a few minutes what happened when I started to plant, and this is why I have to wait a little bit longer. But I've got all these geraniums that I rooted by putting them on the bottom, and now I can move them around the garden and do different things. There is some turmeric in here too I planted also to catch the water. I can leave it or I can harvest it. So we'll see what happens. And these are some brassicas that came up and they look beautiful. And that's growing in a pot in a layering effect. So though this is the easiest garden that I think to take care of because you zip around to water it, you zip around to harvest, and you zip around to take the brown leaves off and drop them back in. I haven't done anything in here yet. But if you notice, even though I haven't done anything since last fall, I have food. I can still come and harvest beautiful greens. The sow thistle I use in my green drinks. I've got garlic chives growing. Look at the walking onions. They're walking. Look at that. More walking onions, more garlic chives. Red vein sorrel back there. Again, this is sow thistle. Look at all the red vein sorrel here. I've even got a strawberry plant in the back that's been giving me strawberries all winter. And this is all sow thistle. So even though I haven't done anything, we still had food all winter. Never had to worry about that. Now, in the truck bed, I did plant some flower seeds, but here is my challenge: snails. So I can go through and try to give the snails a long walk away, or I can do something else. Now, this is going to be funny. That is all shark fin melon growing, also known as fig leaf gourd because the leaf looks like a fig. I've suddenly decided I absolutely love the fruit, which is this. And it stores unbelievable. I can't believe how long it will store for. I've got a few coming up here that I do believe are flowers that are through here, but I think I'm going to layer the flowers in pots. I'm going to let the fig leaf gourd go because what it does is any place it touches the stem where it's damp, it will root. I've got Swiss chard all through here, and I've been harvesting it. This is going to seed, but that's okay. I can still harvest it and use that. This I left in a bucket. I'm thinking on how I want to do this. Got some ideas to make it more of a wildlife for birds and some maybe reptiles like lizards, a safe haven, as well as to grow my fig leaf gourd and my Swiss chard, which I've also got Swiss chard down there, and more fig leaf gourd. And as you can see, it's already blooming and throwing more fruit. We've actually harvested some small ones. So I'm kind of stepping back and deciding how I want to do it. I want flowers. Oh, there goes our friendly rabbit. And the rabbit lives under here and has babies here. So I'm going to do something easy because I'm still working on my deck. I've got big plans for my bird garden. Of course, I got to do that. The kennel that I bought, and that I've got big plans for, and now I've got a new tote I'm setting up from another company, which I really like. So I've got so much going on that I'm definitely going to do it. Do not worry about it. It's how I'm going to do it. I'm actually thinking of putting some pots along the back and maybe taking some of the beautiful geraniums. Look, I got pink ones, I've got salmon colored ones, I've got red ones, magenta ones, and maybe putting pots along the back and letting that grow up and cover that wire. I'm not sure. It would look beautiful, and then I can continue to grow a few vegetables in there. I know that when the weather warms up on its own, I'm going to have tomatillos growing in there because they come up on their own. I let a lot of them drop. There's probably some still around. And oh, look at that, a fruit on the bottom. Let's see. Oh, look. See? Um, I know there's tomatillos in here. And they just fall and I leave them. And I don't see any right now, but they'll be under the soil and then they'll grow. Remember, we only need a couple plants. But this I have a great appreciation for because I didn't have zucchini. I ran out. I'm going to freeze a lot more this year, I hope. This has turned out to be a great squash to use, and it is a squash. Look at that, we've got flowers everywhere. So I don't want to pull that out. I don't want to hurt it, but I want to get other things growing where it'll look nice. I'm wasting too much time in one area. I haven't put any effort into changing anything here. We do have to do weed abatement, and we're going to have to get all the weeds out. That's just the law up here. But we can leave it as long as possible for the birds because the hummingbirds build nests all through here, and so do other birds use the sow thistle to build their nests. But the other problem is the raccoons that a neighbor decided to bring from another city 20 miles away and drop them off here. They go swimming and stuff, and they really do a lot of damage. So I'm kind of letting it go wild. It's not a loss because this is going to be full of dragonfly nymphs. They'll be climbing up as soon as the weather warms up at night on the wall, and we'll have hundreds, no joke, of dragonflies coming out of all this. And that you have to keep undisturbed. If you bother them, or if I drain the water or clean the ponds, I would lose them. So we leave them alone and let them do their things. Look at the geraniums everywhere. Rosemary, just stick it in there and just look at how it grows. Elephant food. And then some succulents I had laying around from years ago. I had a few plants, put them in the bricks here, the cement blocks, and look how they're growing. So I'm kind of going to let it stay wild. You saw the rabbits in here right now. He just ran over here. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just not going to go crazy about putting plants in my ponds is what I wanted. I did have some, but I had to have Gary remove them and put them in his yard because the raccoons were knocking them over. Look at all the algae. I'm going to leave it right now. I could take it off, lay it on the side, and let all the nymphs crawl out. But they feed on that. They use that. They hide in it. So we're going to, and it shelters them from the sun. Look at the lizards. Probably can't see it underneath there. All kinds of wildlife lives in here. And then I've got a brassica growing wild. Isn't this gorgeous? I let it do its thing and then I trim it down and I compost it. These are my flowers. I believe these are called Chinese forget-me-nots. Are they not beautiful? Came up that I planted there about a year and a half ago and they keep reseeding and coming back. Again, geraniums. There is my black sugar cane. That does need a good trimming. I should break some pieces off and stick them somewhere else. I asked Gary if he wanted any more sugar cane, but he said no, he's done with it. So I'll see what I'm going to do, but it's okay. Look at this. This is a nice shelter for rabbits and skunks and anybody that wants to hide in there. Plus lizards and even our friendly gopher snakes. They can hide in there. They have water and they have food. Okay, like I said here, nothing. This is too big. I'm going to have to get some of that out because I need to be able to freely walk by and make sure nothing's at my feet. See the two different colors? So I have two geraniums growing here. One that's more of a salmon color and one that's a pink. Can break those off, put them in a pot, they grow like mad here, and stick them in the truck bed. And we'll see how that goes. So I'll be getting to this as soon as I know our nights are not going to go below 50. My pepper that had died that time, I need to get this off and use it. Isn't that gorgeous? It's doing good. I wrapped it with tulle to protect it. There was no leaves on here when I put it here during the winter. I thought it was dead, and it made a beautiful comeback. Well, I knew it wasn't completely dead, but I didn't think it was going to do that. I did not plant a tomato on the ground to wander, because you don't really get any fruit off of that. Everything else finds it. But I figured for the winter I'd leave it. More walking onions. Okay, nothing here to speak of. Same thing, it's all just Swiss chard and some walking onions. Here I probably will plant cucumbers. They did so well last year. Get that done. And then all down the driveway, nothing new. So we'll just keep walking. I'm going to change this. I'm getting very close. I'm going to remove some of the totes and I'm going to go buckets across. And here I'm going to plant a lot of potatoes. And then I'll designate areas where I want to do maybe watermelon. That's a purple tree collar that's kind of down, but we'll get that done. I mean, you look at it and say, what a mess. That's true. It is a mess. But I haven't touched this or done any work here, and yet I'm harvesting food. Red vein sorrel, green sorrel, walking onions all through here. With walking onion is the best tasting green onion. It's not real strong, and it tastes great. I've got celery through here. I've even got carrots in here that I come and harvest. And then I've had some lettuce, and look at this. Go figure. Oh, somebody ran that over. Purple mustard growing in the rocks. Obviously, nothing likes purple mustard. So that's a good thing to remember. And then I've got oregano. I've got mint growing, more green sorrel you can use for different things, more oregano up there, more walking onions. I think there's even real onions up there. And then this I'm going to tear apart because I want to put some cabbage in here. And I still have a Swiss chard and celery. And you want to see where the celery is growing? This is unbelievable. Out of a hole. Can you see that? Is that unreal? Let's take you down. We put you down there. It's a snail. Look at that. A hole. So it kind of went out the celery as a teeny plant. See, so they have pretty good holes. And then it just grew. That's a beautiful celery. I'm trying to get rid of the red celery. I personally don't like it. I want to go green only, and I want it to reseed so I can move it where I want. And that is a green celery. But I do believe I've got a green and a red here. See, that's a red. It's a hybrid. So they hybridized and they cross-pollinated. This one's green, though. If this one starts to throw flowers, which it might, I'll cut them off. This is the one I want. And that's what I want to start growing more of. And then a compost bucket, grew some pomegranate, and then just the pot sitting here with Swiss chard. Again, the weeds, I don't worry about them because I can come through, yank them, and throw them in a tote. Let's go in the front yard now. I have no sun. And why do we have no sun in the front yard? Look how it's changed if you go back to our first videos. Because these pine trees have grown so big and beautiful and house all kinds of birds in there. I mean, kingbirds and the orioles go in there. And then we've got tree squirrels and little bush tits nest in here and goldfinches nest in here, hummingbirds. This has been just a haven. And though the city, I shouldn't say the city, the electric company offered to remove them, I couldn't do it, though it's really getting tall. They did take one years ago. There was one there, and it was just as tall, but it was too close to the power lines. See the raven sitting on top? And they were worried that if this one toppled, it would take all the power lines out. So we let them take that one, but we didn't on this one. And this was a sickly looking one, and now it's just beautiful. And then, of course, the palm tree. The reason why Gary won't let me grow palm trees, because that one's a small one too. So anyways, I didn't plant it. It was here when we got the property, but it wasn't quite that tall. But it is self-cleaning, which is great because it can cost you over $1,000 to have that cleaned off when they want it cleaned. So it's everything here. It's doing great. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. My geraniums are a little too big, so I'll be trimming those down. Let's see, this is flat leaf parsley. So that's okay. I don't want the red celery to have flowers, but I've got zinnias growing back there. I've got more parsley, all kinds of brassicas are flowering. I'm leaving this all for the pollinators because they haven't gotten in here. When I get serious, all this can get yanked out. Well, maybe not this. And then I can start growing squash if I get some more sunlight. I'll have to see how the sun goes. And if I can get enough sunlight and get squash in here, but I do know, I've got flowers growing in here too. I do know that I can get tomatoes in here. Look at all the walking onions. Are they not beautiful? You can never have enough walking onions. Look at all of them. See, I left them in clusters. They were not separated. And now all the tops are walking. Oh, I should give it a little bit of a feed. You know what? I'm going to remove this. I was covering something. I'm not sure what. And I do believe it's a flower. Is that gorgeous? Look at that. So that's really cool. And I'll leave that because it's a beautiful plant. And I've been eating this like broccoli. Not when it's open, but you can still eat it or juice it. But it has been great. And then that is a palm tree in a pot. The holes are on the side. It can't go out because Gary said it better not escape. There's Mom. But no, I just kept the one palm tree that grew in there. Tree collared. I've got my table I'm going to reset up. Like I said, as soon as I know that we're not going to drop back into the 40s and we're going to be in the upper 50s, I am just going to take off and go. Look at all the geraniums. I have the pink, I have the red, and now I've got this kind of a purpley pink color. Now this one is a vine. This is a wanderer. So it won't really bush, though it's bushing in front of us right now. It will wander around. The other ones are strictly a bush type. See the colors? The different colors? We are fortunate enough that all you have to do is nothing. If it breaks and falls on the ground, it grows. That's how it loves our climate. Look, it's gotten too big. Gary trimmed this last month. He trimmed it all the way down and said, I'm trimming your geranium so we can walk. I said, sure, it's back. I don't know what he did with the trimmings, probably composted it. And then here too, they're beautiful. But see, these wander. See how they vine out? And they break easy. And if they break and fall, they grow. And then these are strictly a bush. See how the stem is different on them? And they're very bushy. And you can train them to grow in any way you want. I actually have a great appreciation for them. I will admit, I didn't early on. But as time went on and I got older, wiser, and more busier, I decided something that's going to grow without me doing anything is the right way to go. So that's why they're staying now. Now here I'll be done really soon. I've been harvesting the turmeric and I'm putting it in here right now. And I'm going to plant some more back. Nothing is growing. If it was right, we would have all kinds of green growth starting. So I'm going to get to this, hopefully. I want to cover it with some shade it a little bit more. I want to finish this up. This will only take me probably an hour. All this is done. And they can stay now. But see, there's nothing in here, just some weeds growing, which you just pick and pull, chop and drop. And this will turn, you'll come back in the middle of June if we're warm at night, and this is just going to be a field of green. It'll be beautiful. So I'm going to finish this up. Oh, I do have my stevia. No, I don't know. No, that's not stevia. I think my stevia finally died back. I'll have to check it. I'll check it when I get to it, and I'll see if I'm going to need to get another stevia. It's quite a few years old. And then this is my ginger, and I'll do the same thing, and I'm probably going to have to find another place to grow some more because there's just too much. What I don't want to grow, I'm going to end up washing, cleaning, and freezing because it will rot. I mean, you can store it in potting soil or sand or something, but I'll have it fresh all I want. So I'll decide on that how it's going to go. But this has just been wonderful. I just come by here and I grab a piece off and eat it. It's so good, or I put it in our salad, or I cook with it. So we have a lot of turmeric, and that's really good for inflammation. That's why I want to grow a ton of turmeric, and then the ginger is the same thing. It's flavor, but it's also for inflammation. All right, so I haven't gotten to that any more than you've seen, probably a little bit more. But that should be done soon. See what I can do? Just pick leaves and keep putting it in here, and then I have it ready to put into the next pot. I dump the pot, take all the turmeric out. You can go see all my videos. I have so many videos on that because turmeric and ginger do not grow the same. And you need to know how they grow. And once you know it and understand it, you'll be able to grow tons of it. But I dump it, take them out, put the soil back in, I mix it all up, and then put a piece in there and let it grow again. All right, let's go into the bird garden. And yes, look at this. I've got my lizard. I've got things coming out of the kitchen. Look at this. I'm going to expand this. This is the most amazing part of the property. See, I see something back there. Oh, it's a little white crown back there. This is amazing. This strip of land is unique on its own. Unreal. You know that Gary's garden is down there. I can step out for a minute and show you. I'm not going to walk down there today. I'll do that separate. And he's got his own different, beautiful piece of nature down there. And look at all the geraniums on the wall. Is that not beautiful? And the tree colors. But this is unique. And what's bringing all the birds, over 60 species of small birds, the way it's set up. We got all this on the top to protect them from hawks. We've got the dragon fruit growing where they can just jump in and hide from a predator. We've got things growing on the ground, even under there, under the tree color, they can hide. They see a hawk coming, boom, they go underneath and they hide. Hawk's not going to go under there and get them. They absolutely love that. I'm constantly propagating plant. This is hummingbird lunch, all self-done here by me, by breaking off pieces and propagating it. Is this not beautiful? It's an expensive plant. Once you have that, you can propagate all you want. These totes are about 9 years old and going strong. Lemon verbena, I've got walking onions in there, I've got garlic chives, mint. The upside down planters, those old things, I'm going to clean those up and put something else in there. Not sure yet what, but I'll see when I get there. Look at all the chocolate mint on the ground. I should grow too much chocolate mint. I love it. I grab a handful in the morning, wash it real good, put it in a glass jar, fill it up with boiling water, and I use the water for my tea. My goodness, it's good. This was a volunteer. This is the blanket flower. Is that not gorgeous? This showed up last year. A little bush started growing out of this pot. And I thought, oh, what is this? All of a sudden, it just bloomed. And look at all this. So I've been collecting the seeds, and I want to get them planted. I've planted some in some pots, but so many different things are growing, so I'm not sure what's growing. Look at the toey in there. But this was just came up, and then immediately, within a couple months, it started to just flower. The seeds are on this sticky ball. The ball itself, these are not the seeds. These are the seeds on the outside, that are falling. So I got to collect those and get those planted. This is an emu plant, and this is a pink one. This one grows straight up. I've got a yellow one that bushes out, so they grow different ways. Let's keep walking because we are fixing this up. My goal is to finish this up, well, probably in the next month or two, a couple months, and then I can sit out here and even go live, be able to do a Q&A or just have dinner or lunch out here. Gary put the cement pad in now. Isn't that cool? So he redid all this, which makes it really nice. Unfortunately, with all the rain, we've got all the seed mess here because we've been putting the bowls here for the birds when it's pouring. So they'll have a place to come eat. And let me tell you something. They know that big bowls are moved over here. And when it is pouring, this whole place under here is full of birds. They are very smart. They know that we take care of them, and that's why they hang out here. This is the first time we've seen spice finches come in here and stay here. Normally they come in, we see them for a while. This time of the year, they're going to start nesting because their weather's getting really nice. They haven't left. In fact, more have shown up. And what showed up this morning, I don't think you can see them in the back, is the grosbeak. Haven't seen them for a while, and they are back because this is where they nest. Why not? They have water to drink, water to bathe in, and all the food that they want. And I'm constantly putting out more feeders, and the feeders are designated for certain birds. Now, that is just cool in itself. We got open bowls on the bottom, which the rabbit comes to eat every morning. We have Notch. He lives in here somewhere, or at least he knows how to get in and out. We've got all the flowers here. We've got salvia growing, hummingbirds lunch. We have different the emu plants growing in here. We've got some geraniums around here, more salvias there, and then we've got all these feeders. The open feeders are designed for the doves that come in, or big birds, kind of like the grosbeak. The other feeders are designed for the smaller birds, the house finches, the spice finches. They can actually get in there. And right now, I don't know, I thought I saw him. We have, oh, he was there. We have a song sparrow that is nesting right by Gary's garden, but up on top here, just where I stepped out before, and it's got a whole nest of babies. In fact, I think the other day they just fledged, and that means she'll be going back to nest again. Starting so early like this and having all the food they want, probably 3 nests this year. So let's keep going. Again, more geranium. See the colors? That one's a little root bound. I can tell by the color, so I just have to get in there, split it, break it off, and do that. This is my brassica. Isn't this beautiful? This came up on its own. It's not a particular type at all, but my goodness. Pick these, toss them in a pan with a little butter and eat it that way, or boil them, or put them in a green drink, or salad. We use it all different ways. So I've got to get this tote out of here. It doesn't belong here. Got wild seed. Oh, okay. This is canary seed. Okay, I wasn't sure at first. So this is canary seed growing. I believe that's what this is. And then we also have different type of millet. And this is all coming out of the bird seed because we buy premium bird food. We don't buy wild bird mix. We actually get parakeet mix and sunflower seed. We have been buying also pigeon mix because it's cheap, and this way they can just eat it and they'll eat it. The other birds don't really eat it. And then, like I said, the sunflower seed and millet we get too. Spray millet. And that has to go. It finally died. 18-gallon tote. The roots never left. The tree colored got to, I would say, 10, 12 feet tall. And now, I mean, this one's still alive. I should actually clip this, and I could probably save that. And then I can change that tote out or open this up a little bit, because my goal is for this year to expand the bird garden on that side. Next year, unless I have so much time, but I don't see that happening, start expanding it this year, this way. So next year, this year that way. And I would eventually love to have this whole thing, the bird garden. But of course, that also means food, because I am growing food for us. That's very important. We've got the pillars now up. Gary put those up so I can put more bird baths along there. I put the 1/2-inch irrigation tubing there to see how it would hold up last year. It held up beautiful, so I can get more of that zigzag. You'd think, why do you want that? Nothing's growing on it. So I could put peas and beans on it. It was to test it to see how it would be, and it's beautiful. So I don't even need to look for a gazebo or pieces of bark and wood and lace that all over the top to keep the hawks out. I can use irrigation tubing. And once it's up, it stays up, and then they can't maneuver through to catch a bird. They'll try, but by the time they do their zipping around, the birds are long gone. Potatoes, I've got to get the potatoes out of here. I have been growing so many potatoes, and there's nothing greater. I know it's down there. I don't want to get my hands on. Oh, there, look. I haven't looked. Oh my goodness, that's a big one. I have purple potatoes in here, growing in here, and then I've got more potatoes in the other bucket. Easiest way to grow potatoes in a bucket. All I have to do is lift it, dump it, get my potatoes, shovel everything back in with some leaves, and throw a potato in there, and it keeps going. The cycle of life with potatoes just works fantastic. So we're going to compost that tree collar. Let's see, what did we miss here? No, nothing much. I've got to clean this up. These are those upside down planters they used to sell for $66, and we got for $2.50 at Walmart when they were blowing them out. And what I generally do is put a lot of my baby walking onions up here, because once they walk, if you don't plant them or do something with them, they'll dry out. And we have our walking onions walk twice a year, which is now they're starting. You saw that, and then they'll walk again in the fall. So I stick them usually there, and we're starting to compost in there. I'm going to change that around. I stick them in there, and then they can grow, and I can move them anytime I want. So that's what's going on there. Those are not worth ever paying $60 for them. In fact, I've seen people that still have them, and they try to get over $100. Get a dish pan for $3. You'll do better. More of that brassica that I grew, more tree colored back there. So there's no loss for tree colored. See this big one that is toppling out of the 18-gallon tote that did not leave the tote? All the roots are in there. Yeah, it's had its time. But I have more here. Now here, I've got more grasses coming up. This is coming from the birdseed or brassica. Let's go on the other side. This, we're retiring out of here, and this is going to be moved. I told Gary, get everything tipped upside down, because he used to come out in the morning and feed them. Nope. I want this moved down there, and then slowly bring the bird garden this way when I'm ready. Let's see. We could step in for a second. I don't know what he's got going in here. I haven't been in here in a few. Oh, yeah, there's what he got from Harbor Freight. He loves it. Let's walk in here for a minute. He's got all kinds of stuff. Oh my goodness, it's cool in here now. Isn't that something? On cold nights, it's so warm in here. And on a hot day like now, it's close to 79 degrees. It's really nice in here and comfortable. So he's got the seedlings going. These are broccoli. They need to get out. We just don't have the room to plant all this yet. And look at this. This is a leaf I picked up, and it grew 2 babies. This is mine. I got it at Home Depot at that time, a little leaf. And it's growing. And he's got all his dragon fruit. Look at that. I don't know why I'm whispering. I think I'm going to bother all the babies in here. And then he's got all his projects going on. There's his mix, the kitty litter and the soil that he does, and sand, it looks like. I'm not sure what it is. And then he's got, I don't know. You know, we're going to have to ask him. I'm not even sure what he's got in here. Coyotes? Anyways, that's his room. This is a place to hang out on a really cold night, because it is beautiful. Okay, let's step out of here. He's somewhere. I have no idea. Probably working on one of his things. So this had some turmeric in there. Okay, right now, nothing's growing. So it doesn't know it's warm enough yet. I should get the turmeric out of there and regrow that. Again, seeds are growing from the bird, so it'll be different millet. This is all mint, and then this is just purple kale that's growing in here. I do a lot of cuttings off of that. This is that soil I got that was really cheap, and it was a great bargain. It's 2 years now, and now you know what's growing in there, because it had herbicides in there, persistent herbicides. You can't grow anything, and they were selling it to people. That's why I stick with name brands now. Now the mint is growing. That's a cutting I put in there. That's taking, and this came up by going through the bottom. See how the mint left there, this chocolate mint, kind of scrambled around here, and then it went in, and it's growing. So now I can grow at least mint in there. I'm not going to plant anything else. But keep in mind that if you ever buy an off-brand, cheap brand, and you can't grow anything, it's probably not your fault. It's probably the soil or the compost. Shame on me. I bought this for a friend a week ago, and I have to get it to them. It's a poppy, California poppy. This is a seed pot, and this is going to be a new flower. Is that not gorgeous? It needs more water. So this is my table to work on. And then I've got the vegetable plants I haven't even gotten to. And these are, well, I got to some. That's what I'm going to show you in a minute. These are from the 99-cent store before they went out of business. Like a day or two before they were getting them in. And I've got some cucumbers back there, the more flowers. I got some different salvias in here. And then this is a good question. Some of these didn't have tags, I realized afterwards. Oh, this is yellow squash. Okay, so I should get that planted. Let's walk over here, and I'll show you why I could not plant. And that's what discouraged me and said, wait, look at my rosemary. Blooming, even through the winter, it was blooming off and on. And the bees love it, and the pollinators love it. Look at the butterflies. Bottle brush that grew on our property. It was a seedling from another big tree. Gary found it, put it here quite a few years ago, and it's gotten massive. And again, geraniums everywhere. Okay, so I haven't worked in here much. I'll probably redo the strawberry tower. I've got more potatoes to harvest in there. I've got onions now that are going to seed, and I think I'm going to let them do its thing and collect my own seeds. I think that's going to be fantastic. And then I've got some milkweed growing in there. Then this is what I was saying. See this? It looked better when I first planted it. And then the leaves kind of got droopy. Let me cover this back right now. And it started to take off, and it stopped. Why? We hit 42 degrees at night. And though you would think it should be good, it's protected from the side of the toad. I could have covered it in plastic. It just wasn't doing good. Oh, look, broccoli. This is broccoli. And then this is an eggplant. Looks like it's going to do a comeback. So I might trim this back because it's from last year. And then I'll see what happens with that. If it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Here's another one. They started doing really good. This is zucchini. But it just got too cold at night. And then we had a week of in the 40s, and that's when everything stopped. Now, the problem with that is if it stops, that means it doesn't have the vigor. And when it has vigor, it literally will double in size every day. And insects and nothing will knock it down because it just wants to grow. But when it goes dormant for a while like that, I don't know. It's not worth it. If I come out here and put some seeds around here in June, when our wet nights are warm, it will grow in a matter of weeks. I'll have a massive plant, just a couple weeks. Geraniums all along the bottom, more milkweed. Now here, that tomato plant, see, it's in the shade still. And it's what? I think it's about noon. It's doing okay, and I'm going to leave it. I don't know what it is, but I do have back here, look, another geranium cutting. Look at the color of the flowers. Beautiful. So I've been kind of putting this up, and I'll see. This is obviously a cherry type tomato, the way it's growing in a cluster. So I'm going to keep taking care of this. We'll see how that goes. It's getting really big, this plant, but it's fine. This is all compost in there and leaves and stuff. It was filled up and it came up from seed. So we're going to leave that the way it is. I believe this is milkweed, though there is a pepper in there somewhere. It might have gotten drowned out. Now these are the baby peppers that were growing in a pencil box. I kept half in the house, which are still growing, and the other half I planted out here, and they're growing peppers. Something, probably roly-polies were getting to them, but they seem to be doing a whole lot better. Oh, this was a squash that all the leaves died because it got cold, but yet the stem is alive. Sometimes they'll come from the bottom and regrow. So it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, happens. And then here I planted some seeds. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen in here. This is a way, maybe I'll show you. I actually did a clip when I did it, and I said don't do it because it's the wrong way to do it. But we'll see what happens. But I've got some seeds in there, just old seeds, regular seeds. I think it's peas and Swiss chard, and there might be a squash in there. And I figured while I'm waiting, when I see seeds come up in the garden, then I know it's time to grow. We did have one on the deck that popped out. I planted it, put 2 zucchini seeds in there. It took off, and now it stopped again. Why? Because the past few days, it's not the rain. I love the rain. It's the cold, windy, wet nights, and that really hurts a lot of plants. And that's when I'm waiting for the nights to get, I would be happy in the 50s, and we're supposed to be 50 tonight. If it stays that way, it will be really good. That pepper, I'm going to clean it up and see if it makes a comeback, probably freshen up the soil. That's the only thing I really have right now in a grow bag. I had one there, it didn't make it. That one hung on. I don't know if I'll put it in the pot or leave it in that. And then this again, you know about this. A lot of these are cuttings. See, and then I've got walking onions back there. And this is usually where I propagate all summer because it's in the shade, it's under this, and I can just do cuttings. Last year I was doing monarch butterflies. I was moving them in here, feeding them, and then every day letting a whole bunch go. I think I'm going to do it differently this year when they show up. We have milkweed everywhere now. I'm going to pass it to my neighbors, so I'm going to do it different. And a lot of this in here is milkweed. See, I found this in the garden and I grabbed them and put it in a pot. These are walking onions. And I'm going to get those planted. I'm really excited about that. This was a milkweed that was cut all the way down to the bottom. See how it's coming back? That's a good way of doing it. And then I've got green celery. The reason is milkweed sometimes gets let's call it a bacteria. And sometimes that's not good for monarchs. But if you cut it all the way down, the monarchs bring it in, I heard. Then it starts all new and it's not there because it's in their leaves and stems. This is what I've heard. I'm not studying them, so I could be slightly off on that. But that works out really good to cut it back and let it rejuvenate. And then it will start flowering like these, which are seedlings. And I've got more red vein sorrel, and then of course more of the cuttings I've done of my purple kale, and then the pepinos, which are growing everywhere. I pick them, I use them, and they keep growing. Look, got more here and more on the other side. See, these will be pepinos in a few weeks. And then these are onions, just plain onions that I had last year I put there. And that is it. I mean, going to clean this up. These are peppers from last year, and they have been throwing little peppers. Look at that. They're throwing small peppers, but I want to clean them up. That's a pepino, I believe, in there. And then this is the tree color that's growing here in this big pot. And then this is my pizza garden, which is actually starting to make a comeback. I've got my sage. I've got my oregano. You know what I don't have? Basil. and I'll get some of that growing. This is a different sage, struggling. This is my thyme that's making a comeback that needs a good freshening up in there, but look at that, it's growing. And the rosemary, just a cutting that I threw in a pot and it grew. So I'll get a few more things in there and then I think I'll just leave it, but I can easily freshen it up by digging into it, taking out some stuff, putting leaf matter in there, and putting the soil back. And that's all I need to do. So we've made a spin. The dog kennel, I haven't done anything yet because next year, I should say this year, I can cover this later on in the summer with plastic and make this into a winter greenhouse. That's my plan. But now I didn't want to do it because I want to start fresh when I know it's time to grow, get some composting buckets in there. I've got a system. I'm going to set up a bunch of different things in there, and then I can cover it different ways and tool, whatever to keep the critters out. It depends on what you're trying to keep out. The deer can't get in there, but squirrels can, but we can cover that with tulle and see how that goes because squirrels don't like tulle. We'll see. I'm going to get to that fairly soon, but still working on my deck and other projects. So I hope you enjoyed this because that is one thing. Let me back up out of the sun because the sun is actually warm. You may think, gee, you didn't do a whole lot, but here's the thing. You could do this too. We have set ourselves up that even when we're not growing new plants, we have food. We had no problem of having anything to eat out of the garden all year and all through the winter. And that's what you want to do. Get your brassicas situated. Get them in pots and don't plan on pulling the whole thing out to eat it. Leave the base of the plant. So in the winter, you can find a place for it, especially if it's in a pot, and you can have it growing all winter. And you will be able to harvest food. And then lettuce, of course, we grow that all winter. So you've got brassicas growing, you've got all kinds of stuff growing. You just have to think ahead. And we can talk about that later as the growing season comes in. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to get some work done around here. And I am just so happy to have blue skies and warm weather. And yes, I hear the Cooper hawks screaming. I do believe their babies have probably hatched. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.